Information at UNESCO. Shehzad Juman, Secretary, Media Trust Board. Monsieur Raj Moabir, Atelier, chargé de mission Cérémonie, participants des pays africains, francophones, issus des différentes rédactions et médias. Donc, Maurice, Comores, Seychelles, Djibouti, Madagascar. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you. I think we are in today's world at a crossroad where we need to define how we want to display and consume information. Information is, as we say now, at our fingertips with the advent of information technology. So there is the volume of information, there is variety of information, and there is velocity of information. And within that dynamic, along with the possibility of people to express themselves on social media, whichever platform people are using, it becomes very difficult to ensure that information that we receive is actually the right information served at the right time, with the right level of reliability, accuracy, correctness, and timeliness. And this actually is the value of information. This is how I look at it. C-A-T-E-R. It's the correctness, the accuracy, the timeliness, how economic it was to receive that information, and R for the reliability. Mauritius is a small island developing state, thus we are very vulnerable given the climate change phenomenon. And in the face of these two dynamics, people should be able to react fast. Governments should be able to have the right framework in place so that in case of any natural disaster or natural calamity, actions can be taken quickly and people can be informed quickly so that we can save lives. But if the information that is coming is itself not reliable, then it becomes a challenge to be able to implement the policies that are tailored for ensuring that we are able to save lives of people when the need arises in terms of the natural calamities. So misinformation, disinformation, malinformation, all these are to a certain extent today really impacting our society and the way we consume information. In the government program read in January of this year, we actually took the commitment to implement the Freedom of Information Act, and that will be implemented. And it should be noted that when we come up with that kind of a legislation, technology will come in to help in the implementation of it. Developed states like the UK have established what we call as the Open Data Portal. And the Open Data Portal is the technological means to implement policies of freedom of information. Now, obviously, we know the strength of an open data portal. And we want to actually help Mauritius be able to benefit from that strength. We want to help the people of Mauritius to be able to benefit from the strength that freedom of information and an open data portal has to offer. Now, it is, however, very important that we establish means and ways of verifying information that is published. Now, as we speak, terabytes of data is being generated on the internet. And within the context of Mauritius, there's a lot of information that is coming on the social media. Therefore, there are certain questions that need to be answered. You are implementing, you're exercising responsible journalism. But when we have the freedom of expression that actually is part of the Constitution and that Mauritians are happily exercising, there are some people who are actually not respecting this line of demarcation between the freedom of information and the right to privacy, where both are constitutional rights. Now, how do we now draw the right line? And in fact, it's a moving target as well. It depends a lot upon the sensitization of people. But on the other hand, what social media and misinformation, disinformation is bringing as well is a lot of online harms. Online harms that can impact the psychology, the emotional balance of our children. And our children are not just our children. Our children also represent the upcoming generation of leaders, whether it is corporate leaders, leaders of the public service, leaders of the society, or leaders of the political arena. So we are actually shaping our leaders of tomorrow. Therefore, we need to be sure about the type of environment we will create for our leaders to exercise. And that environment will be crafted now. It is actually being crafted. It is being crafted around the world by the way in which governments are addressing challenges of misinformation and disinformation. And the advent of artificial intelligence and generative AI, as we call it, has not helped matters, in the sense that AI is a great tool. AI is helping the humanity from helping people or doctors do a ready diagnosis, a quick diagnosis, a swift diagnosis. And we all know that when we take an electrocardiogram, the pattern can be read much more faster by an AI algorithm than by human doctors. And actions can be taken much faster. But at the same time, AI can also be used for the wrong things. We know generative AI can be used to generate the picture. We can get a picture here and change the whole background, right? Like you never sat here, you see? And that can happen within seconds. The tools available to them can do that within seconds. Obviously, there are tools that are established that can verify the authenticity of a picture or a video or an audio track. There are forensic tools that are available. But at the same time, the tools that are generating those artifacts are also improving. Technically, they're becoming better and better. And this reminds me of what used to happen years back with the virus and antivirus software. So as soon as there's a new virus that comes in, a computer virus, a new antivirus software comes out to sort of neutralize that effect. But the virus software were actually always ahead of the antivirus industry. Likewise, today, the generative AI tools seem to be ahead of those tools that can implement forensic tests on those artifacts. So how do we address that? There is, I believe, the necessity of people who are creating those artifacts, to actually take responsibility by necessarily setting up their names or the origin of that artifact, whether it's an audio, video, or a fixed photograph. Some countries are implementing that, therefore we catch it at source. Now, I'm not saying that this is what the government is going to do. What I'm saying is that there are different possibilities, and we are considering those possibilities. But at the end of the day, we have to find the right balance between the freedom of expression and the right to privacy and the protection of the reputation of people. And this is really a balance that is not easy to find. And having said that, I'd want to finish on the note that we, as the Ministry of IT, we're in the final phase of completing the blueprint for the ICT sector for Mauritius. And that blueprint will be published the moment we have the go-ahead of the government of all the ministers and the Prime Minister. But it should be noted that what we have done is we have, by way of the blueprint, tried to craft the right digital future for Mauritius and also open channels for internationalization. There is something known as the e-diplomacy, and we want to work with yourselves. We want to work with the African continent. We want to work with the European continent. We want to work with the rest of the world, so that we are able to learn from them what are the best solutions that have worked, and we also develop our own solutions. We put them together, the ultimate objective being that we craft the right digital future for our nation. So on this note, I would like to thank you very much for your attention, and I'd also like to wish you great deliberation and great exchange of learning during your sessions. And thank you, Media Trust, for having organized this. And I now declare the workshop open. Thank you very much.